Good morning, KU. I'm Reese Dunker.
And I'm Jasper Hawkins.
And we had a busy weekend in KU sports. It started out with the volleyball team on Saturday taking a tough loss to Texas, which is not a bad thing at all. Texas, a nationally ranked team and a dominant powerhouse in the Big 12 year after year. So that loss is it's not something you regret. But a win would have been nice. But hey, the girls continue to improve. But that was the extent of the volleyball for the weekend. And then after that, we moved right into women's basketball on Sunday.
Yeah, they played on Sunday against Pittsburgh State. We took a loss to Pittsburgh State. I ended up working with Rock Chalk Video and gripped one of the cameras. The women's team came out really strong for their first game. We didn't have as many fans as we would like to see. We had more Pitt State fans than KU. But.
I don't think our attendance has ever been too great for women's basketball, but it's definitely something the student body should look to improve on. So go on a little more about what you did with the gripping.
I helped out one of the floor camera workers, and when he wanted to move, I just wrapped cable and unwrapped cable.
That's a neat experience right there.
Yeah, it was interesting. They actually let me film the halftime dance.
Okay.
So that was fun to actually get experience with the camera.
Mm-hmm. And probably a little more newsworthy was the men's basketball game, their first exhibition game on Thursday, taking on Fort Hays State. It was a good showing all around. I think Ochai Agbaji, he led the team. And Fort Hays State, you can't really expect much at the Division II team, so you get to see some good early signs of the team and what they're going to be showing.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to see a lot of the freshmen and other players get just a few minutes at least.
The personal surprise to me was Jalen Wilson in the starting lineup. It wasn't something I was really expecting, but with the Isaiah Moss and Devon Dotson injury, it kind of thrust him into the starting lineup. Me personally, I thought Christian Brown would be in the starting lineup, but it ended up being Jalen Wilson, who I didn't think played a bad game. Obviously, those freshman jitters never help anybody, but it was a strong showing overall from the Jayhawks. They got off to a rocky start, which year after year in exhibitions, it's what you expect. But overall, they showed promising signs. They're going to build on that this week and then lead it right into the Champions Classic against Duke next week.
Yeah, that'll be fun to see in Madison Square Garden, just seeing everybody there and how many fans can come out.
Doesn't get better than Kansas versus Duke. And maybe the most intriguing part of sports from the weekend, as I'm sure everybody's heard, the Kansas upset over Texas Tech. The Jayhawks came in after playing a really good game in Austin against Texas, and they ended up beating the Red Raiders by a score of 37-34. Early on, we did not show promising signs for the Jayhawks, who went down 17-0 to start the game, but they quickly rebounded. Carter Stanley got back in the groove and led them right down the field. And the defense.
Yeah.
The defense stepped up, and Stephon Robinson had 2 touchdown catches on the day. Very easily could have been 3. He got robbed of one on the goal line, but hey, they rebounded off of it, and then Carter Stanley snuck it in for a touchdown. But overall, it was just a great showing from the team all around. The defense made plays when they had to, and arguably the most nail-biting ending for a KU football game in a while is Liam Jones' kick was blocked, and as the kick was blocked, Texas Tech attempted to return it with all the slow linemen on the field for KU, but the KU long snapper actually jumped on the lateral, and he recovered it, and since it was a change of possession and then a turnover again.
When the ball hit the ground and we got it, the timeout had to be the next thing, and it better hurry up. So we got the timeout called, and then we found out, that there's another kick available, which we hit right down the middle.
As Miles talks about in the video, it just shows the awareness that Logan Klusman, the long snapper, had to jump on the fumble, and it set Liam Jones up, who was not going to miss again. And by making that kick, that got him all Big 12 honors this week, which is no small accomplishment considering some of the caliber players we have in the Big 12. So it was a good week overall for KU sports and a promising look ahead. So next we're going to transition into a interview, and we're going to have AJ on to talk about KU basketball camping. Thanks.
Have a nice day. You too. Have a great day. Thanks. You too.
Make someone's day. Pay it forward.
Welcome back, everyone, to Good Morning KU. I'm Evan. We have a special guest here. AJ Franklin is here with us today. We're going to be talking about all things KU basketball, camping, and everything, how that works, because it is a big process. How are you doing today, AJ?
I'm good, thank you very much. How about you?
Pretty good. Surviving. We're here. So, can you tell me about, I know you're a big basketball fan, and I mean KU sports fan in general. What kind of started your love for KU sports and KU basketball in particular?
So it starts off with my family. My grandmother graduated from the University of Kansas, and so for her, she was at the first game ever in Allen Fieldhouse back in 1955. It was her last semester of pharmacy school. So that kind of transpired down the family tree. My mother grew up watching KU basketball, being with my grandmother. So then that kind of went down to me, ever since I was born. I was putting a KU shirt, watching basketball games, watching football games, all that kind of stuff. So by the time I came here to the University of Kansas, I just love Kansas basketball. So.
And that's nice that you have those family ties. That makes it even a little more special for you. I know you spearheaded a camping group here at the university. I know you have mostly freshmen in it. What was it like? When did you start preparing and organizing that group, and what's it like to manage it through all these games?
So I wanted to get a head start on it, so I started through the summer. First, I just created a Google form so that people can sign up on it pretty easy. Just give me your name, email address, number, put in when you're able to camp on Monday to Sunday at these specific times. And then when I got all the numbers that I needed, which was 30 people, I would then go into an Excel spreadsheet and then kind of work my way into figuring out who goes where and who fits with who, that kind of stuff.
So I know many people, we say the word camping, and it's a little misleading, to be honest, because you think of camping, you think of being outside, being in a tent, waiting at all hours of the night, all weather conditions to get into these crazy basketball games, but it's not really like that, at least anymore. So
yeah, it's so back then they would actually camp outside, be in tents, even if it was cold. Then the university was like, no, it's too cold, let's bring them inside. So we do camp inside Allen Fieldhouse, but it's not necessarily camping. We're not camping all night. We're during the weekdays, we're camping from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And most of the time, for someone in my group, we're only camping like 1 or 2 hour slots. So, and then on the weekends, it's 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And again, it's just kind of, you work 1 or 2 slots and you're not necessarily camping. Not everyone's camping at the same time.
Is it, you said you had the Excel spreadsheet where you keep track of everyone's schedules and everything, which must be crazy to keep track of 30 people's schedules. But what is it like, making sure people show up to their camping shifts, making sure people show up to those 6 a.m., 8 a.m. lotteries? Because, if they don't show up and they do roll call, your group's kind of out of luck. So how's that like managing it, making sure they're there?
So in the group, I know most of the people. So the people who are scheduled to be at 6, 7, 8 a.m., they're going to be the most trustworthy people that I put on those slots. So if I put them on there, I know they will go there. And because if you don't show up and someone calls roll call, you're pretty much out. You're screwed. So I put the most trustworthy people on the early slots, and then most of the time I will put 2 people on each slot, so just in case someone doesn't show up, then we have another person there, so we're not entirely screwed up for camping. So that's kind of how I do it for the entire day, 2 people each slot. Sometimes there will only be 1 due to class schedules or sorority, fraternity stuff, so that's kind of how it goes for my group.
Yeah. So I know we've had late night already, late night in the fog, and we've had the one Fort Hays game. What's it been like after the camping is done, after you're all together there at the game? What's it like to be together and just celebrate? It has to be a great time.
It is definitely a great time. For late night, we were in kind of the lower section of the student side, so it was a lot of fun. We got to experience it all pretty well. Snoop Dogg, that was a fantastic show.
For sure.
And then for the Fort Hays game, we were on the 2nd or 3rd row, so that was pretty fun to watch. Haven't seen it from like the court level.
Coming up Thursday, so are you planning on camping for that game?
Yeah, my group is still planning on camping. Some won't be there due to Halloween, but that's totally fine. If we have it in my group that if you have a friend that is wanting to come to that game, they
kind of take your spot.
Yeah, kind of take your
Gotcha.
spot. So that's kind of the one little clause that we have in our group. If you don't want to go to a game, but you have a friend that's that wants to join in, make sure they're able to pick up their schedule.
Sounds really easy and relaxed. Just I
Yeah.
think your major thing is communication. It has to
Yeah.
be really important to manage all those people. So yeah, game 7 o'clock, right? Thursday?
Yeah, 7 o'clock on Thursday.
Halloween. Anything you want to add before we go, just about basketball in general, the camping process?
No?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We will have the news coming up right next. Stay tuned.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back. I'm Matt.
And I'm Grace, and this is your Good Morning KU News Update. President Trump announced Sunday that ISIS leader Abu Bakr Baghdadi was killed in a commando raid in Syria. During a nationally televised address from the White House, the president went into gruesome detail of Baghdadi's final moments. President Trump said that no Americans were killed in the operation, but that one military dog was injured. Baghdadi was a prominent leader in the Islamic State and a longtime target of the U.S. military.
The governor of California has declared a statewide state of emergency in the midst of multiple widespread wildfires. Approximately 180,000 people were under evacuation over the weekend in Sonoma County. The Kincaid fire has burned over 30,000 acres in North Carolina and is only 10% contained.
Lawrence police are searching for a suspect involved in a shooting on Saturday night. A 50-year-old man was shot in his car at the McDonald's on 6th Street. According to the reports, he sustained significant injuries and was taken to the hospital. Police say that they are looking for a black male wearing a red hoodie and red sweatpants.
The mayor of Lawrence wants to aim for 100% renewable energy by 2025. Lawrence has allocated $75,000 to its climate protection plan in its 2020 budget, which is expected to begin early next year.
Kansas football celebrated a homecoming victory over the weekend, defeating Texas Tech 37-34. The Jayhawks came back from a 17-point deficit tied to the Red Raiders with only 13 seconds left in the game. After a blocked field goal and a recovered fumble, junior kicker Liam Jones got a second chance and clinched KU's third win of the season with a 32-yard field goal. Kansas will host Kansas State this weekend in the 117th playing of the Sunflower Showdown.
After a 2-2 draw on senior night, the soccer team will head to Iowa State this week for the final game of the regular season. The Jayhawks are currently in 6th place in the Big 12, but a win over the Cyclones could move them up to 4th. The conference tournament begins on Sunday at Swope Soccer Village in Kansas City.
It's going to be a cold one today with a high of 42 degrees. We should get some snow overnight, and tomorrow's expected to be a low of just 23 degrees. But good news is that over the weekend we should be back into the mid-50s.
This has been your Good Morning KU News Update. Thanks for watching today, and be sure to watch the Playmakers at noon and Good Evening KU at 5 o'clock this evening. Have a great day and stay warm.